Uudistunut MNR tulee tekemään tutuksi teille kaikille varsinaissuomalaista urheilukulttuuria. Meillä tulee olemaan podcasteja, videolähetyksiä, sen lisäksi tietysti striimataan myös urheilua tuttuun tapaan. Lisää uudistuneesta MNRstä vielä tämän joulukuun aikana, mutta mennään meidän ensimmäisen vieraan kimppuun. Ensimmäisenä vieraana meillä on täällä tänään David Moore. Welcome, David.
Thank you very much, Mikko.
David, you have been born and raised in the second city of England, Birmingham. Tell us about your youth.
Yeah, like you said, born in Birmingham. For me, the greatest city ever. No, we're a traditional family. If you thought, mother and father and 6 children, growing up in the heart of Birmingham. So we had, how you say, a lot of playtime together. If you think, I have 3 brothers, 2 sisters. So, but no, my mother and father were very Christian family. So we were brought up with the right values and the right ways, and always encouraged, to go our own ways, but in the right way. So, so no, I think I couldn't have had a better, if I think, environment to learn and grow up in, and Birmingham provided that environment. And for me, it's a good city because a lot of diversity, a lot of different things, a lot of different cultures. So at an early age, you're exposed to a lot of these things, and I think, yeah, I think I benefited greatly.
How was it when you were a young lad? Did you see this kind of new waves coming in and new culture born and raised?
Yeah, of course you do. I mean, like I said, Birmingham is no different to most cities in the UK, in that whenever there is these culture or revolutions come through, you can see it particularly in the underground of Birmingham at the time. So, for example, through the 70s, I don't remember too much, quite young, but definitely in the 80s, you could see the fashion change, for example, the music changed. But again, because we had a traditional Caribbean family, I also had that kind of music to listen to. So, and then when I went to school, I think it was school where you really you saw a real different side. So I started to go to Catholic schools, for example, where a lot of my friends were from Ireland, for example, or then from England. So that's where I really started to hear this punk rock music. In my own home, no, but definitely when you went to their house, you were definitely exposed to the music.
You came up with your roots at the Caribbean. Where in the Caribbean your roots are? And
Yeah, well, my, of course, mother and father and aunties and uncles, they're all from Jamaica. So there's a area called Montego Bay, and quite near there's an area called Savannah Lamar. So that's where sort of my father anyway grew up. My mother grew up in an area called Manchester in Jamaica. So we have a heavy roots in Jamaica, where we still have relatives. Of course, aunties and uncles still live there, and I've visited there a few times. So it's good to see everybody. But I think the good thing also is that my parents brought it with them to the UK. So food, culture, and the language, everything else I grew up with, and it's a very rich culture that we grew up in. Yeah.
Do you think it's a good way to show the determination in Jamaican culture, this movie, even if it's about pop culture also, this movie?
It is. I think of course that movie comes from a true event that happened in Jamaica at the time. So it is a true event. I think they wrote it in a comical way, which I think it was more than for the international community. the way it's written, but I think it showed a little bit and got people more talking about Jamaica as a country. And I think since that movie has been made, I think then more on the athletic side of it with the likes of Usain Bolt, I think, really. And then, but we had other runners, Merlin Otti, maybe a little bit before that, that really then started to put Jamaica as a, I think, as a sporting nation. I think everybody knew as a holiday, great. And I think, of course, the music, of course, with Bob Marley and so on, I think people associate that. But I think when Cool Runnings came out, it was a different way to look at, you know, Jamaica, and I think it opened it up a bit more to the international community.
You chose as a young lad to be an Aston Villa player.
Yeah, listen, literally you can say a stone's throw from where I grew up and lived. You could have hit Birmingham City, Aston Villa, and there's another club there that we won't mention, but West Bromwich Albion. You could literally throw a stone and hit the three ground. So I think, you know, growing up, you were always aware when there was a game on in the town. And I think it was, I was playing for my school team at the time, and I think it was the Villa scout at the time who approached and sort of had a small word and sort of said, would I be interested to come and train, for example. And I think at that time I thought, why not? It's a good club. It's you know, did really well in the European Championships, winning it in the 80s in that time. So I just went along and trained for, at that time it was in a Villa car park on a Tuesday night. And yeah, I got a, how can you say, a good feeling from that. And then little bit by little bit started to play more and more. And then we started to train, and then at the training ground in Bodymore Heath. And I sort of never looked back from there. But yeah, looking back at it now, yeah, it was, I think at the time, if Birmingham City had approached or West Brom had approached, I think, you know, when you're growing up in England, football is almost centre of everything. So it would have been an honour to play for anyone. But Villa it was, and Villa I know.
So it's Villa for life.
Yeah, never change. Once you pick a team, that's your team for life.
In Aston Villa, you played with the reserve team and with the youth team.
Yes.
Almost 100 games.
Yes.
When we combine this game. Yeah. How about first team? I have heard rumors that you have been one really nice day at the Wembley Stadium in London.
Two.
Okay,
Two.
Tell us about it.
No, listen. I think in the 90s we had Ron Atkinson, actually, Big Ron, as he was nicknamed at the time, got together a really good team that took Manchester United in that year very close, and we finished second in that year. But in that year as well, we managed to travel to the old Wembley, as it was then, and I'll never forget the atmosphere. You know, traveling with the team down. We stayed overnight, of course, in the hotel, and then on the match day, of course, I wasn't part of the team, but we went up and sat and watched the game, and it was definitely a moment to remember. You know, you're taking on, again, Manchester United at the time. Never forget Daly and Atkinson going down the wing, cutting in and scoring. And just, you know, the joy, you know, of jumping off the seat and remembering that moment was, you know, it will live forever. So that was the first one. The second one was when Brian Little came in, again, down to Wembley for the final. And again, that was a 1-0 win on that day, and the feeling was just the same. So two great memories of traveling to Wembley with my team, and then both times watching them win. So yeah, tremendous feeling.
So if the team where you are in is getting to the cup final, domestic cup final, the team is going to win. Because same team with Inter last year.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah. From Aston Villa, you came as a free transfer to Mypa in 1996. You were 19 years old.
Yeah.
Why Finland? Why Mypa?
No, if I remember correctly how it went, of course, at the time there was a change. So Ron Atkinson and his assistants had left, and in came a new management. Brian Little came in with, if I remember, I don't want to say, anyway, he came in with his new management staff, Alan Evans, and so on, and they went about changing a little bit of the Villa squad at the time and how we played. So it was the first time really at that time we played with three at the back, wing backs and so on. So I had a year, and then at the end of that I was brought into the office, and Brian Little sat there, Alan Evans sat there, and we discussed a little bit the future. And I remember them saying that, you know, Dave, you've done well, and we were looking at giving you another year, but maybe for you it might be a right moment to maybe, you know, look at different options. And I remember at the time, I don't know, nobody has ever been hit by a train, and too many has survived, but I was hit by several trains in that moment, because, you know, here I was, grew up, hometown team, came through from the ages of 10, 11, all the way through at Villa Park, and to be told that, you know, maybe there's other options, you know, it's never easy, particularly at the age of 18, 19. So I remember at that moment, you know, leaving Villa Park, going home, and sort of not knowing where you know, what was going to happen, and almost instantly the phone rang, and it was my old recruitment officer, a guy called Dave Richardson, or sort of my youth development officer at the time, and he sort of said, look, Dave, we have a good opportunity for you here, that there's a team that, you know, needs a defender for the rest of the season, and it will only be like for maximum a month, 2 months. So, you know, go there, keep your fitness up, and then be ready, because when the new English season starts, you're ready to go. So I said, okay, where is it? He said, Finland. And I said, okay. But he never said the team or anything, he just said Finland. He said, go home, think about it, and then give me an answer. So it wasn't the age of technology like we have now, where you could, you know, so you had to literally get a map, put it on this table, and I'm looking. Generally, you know, you're looking and 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 you're looking, thinking, okay. He said he's in Europe, okay, and then of course Sweden, Finland, okay. So I didn't really discuss it with anybody. I just thought, yes, why not? It's a great opportunity to go out and continue my football, but in a different way, and that's really how it started. Within a few days, I went down to Heathrow, got on a British Airways flight, and landed at what was then the Helsinki-Vantaa airport. A tiny little airport, I remember wooden floors going through. And just remember getting off the plane, walking through, and thinking, this is where it starts. so yeah, it happened really quickly. In a matter of days, I've decided and was already here. And then, like I said, that was how many years ago now? Many years ago now. But yeah, strong memories of that time.
And now, 22 years later, you are still in Finland. You have played with Mypa,
Yes.
then Jyväskylän jalkapalloklubi,
Yes.
FC Lahti, TPV Kuusankoski, and SCR.
Yeah.
These are your teams so far.
Yeah.
so far, and then you need to remember that you are playing with the Waterloo BAP team in
Of course,
Bubbiliiga in
of course,
Turku.
yes.
When you think about your career here in Finland, tell us a little bit about the ups and downs that you have had. You were a young lad when you come here.
I wouldn't say too many downs because football is I mean, a lot don't realize, but it's a privilege. You are in a privileged lifestyle, and what you do, what you're required to do every day is, so much different than I think if you had any other sort of career or job, let's just say. So, I wouldn't look at it too much as down. I look at it as being privileged and honored, and to have been involved in the sport even till now, because it's a sport that has seen a lot of players tried, and a lot of players have fallen out. So if I think at my time when I arrived in Finland, mid 90s, and it was a time when still in the Finnish league at the time was a lot of what you would say now top Finnish players and talent, as well as a few really good additions from outside of Finland. And in the league, if you think you had international players representing Finland at the time, so it was a really competitive time, a really good time to come in. But also the team that I went into was, I think, no disrespect to any other team, but I couldn't have gone to a better team and a better setup in the fans, in the clubhouse, and everything. And then when I walked into the team from day one, with the with the likes of the players that I went with, then I realized then, and then learning the history while I was there, that that I had a lot to not live up to, but to continue there. So as I said, it's all the teams that I represented, always have fun memories, and not too many downs for me. I just look at them as it was part of the game, part of life, something to learn from, and it's something to make you stronger and move on from. And that's generally my general outlook in my time in football in general. That don't look at it as a disappointment. Just look at it as a great chance, a good opportunity, but something that you can take with you and take into the next thing that you do.
That's amazing, amazing attitude
Yeah,
against
yeah.
everything. But it's great. I think it has helped you.
A lot. I think people always say, Dave, you're always smiling. Why? I said, I'm in football. I mean, I have nothing within football. I have nothing critical to say. I mean, I understand the game in that you come in, your job is to perform well, and as well as you perform, sometimes things are decided here that they decide to go in a different way. Hey, that's every team or coaches or whatever right to make that decision. The only thing you can do is do the best that you can do, leave with the right impression at the time, and never leave with any negativity in that way. And I know it's difficult, and it's not the same for everybody. But I've always said, look, if a team decides tomorrow that to say, look, we no longer want you, I always said I would shake their head, said, thank you very much for the chance and opportunity. I wish you all the best, and I move on from there. I think the game is moving so quickly now that if you, how you say, dwell too much on what has gone in before, you miss those opportunities or how you can go forward. So it's something now, if I'm involved with young players, it's never telling them that this is what you should do. It's always trying to listen to them and let them themselves sort of work things out and go in the direction that they think is best for them. And all I can do is just talk from my own experiences. Of course, it's just what you can do. Talk about your own experiences and so on. And hopefully that is a good way to help anybody that is thinking about the next stage or the disappointment that the world is huge from when I first came to Finland. It's a massive place now, and you can play football from every corner of the earth. So don't look as, today you don't get a contract. Look at tomorrow, where can you be, what can you do, and where can you go from there. And that's, I think, my always how I looked at it.
How about homesickness? You were a young boy when you came here, now you're a grown-up man.
Still homesick, never changes. Like I said, I grew up in a really good environment with good food, good fun, and everything else. And it's one thing, even after 22 years, you cannot get in Finland, is Caribbean food, all of it. So always homesick, and then good fish and chips. Things like that. So that's the British culture, the fish and chips, but the Caribbean, the chicken and the rice. Unless you make it yourself, which is never the same, but always homesick. Listen, I moved here, like I said, 20 odd years ago, but my family didn't move with me. You know what I mean? So in my time here, of course, I've made some good friends and I met some great people. But my family will always be the family, and they are based at the moment in Birmingham. So I always try to make an effort, certain times of the year to go back and spend it with the family, because I think Christmas time, for example, it is a nice time where you all come together, you catch up, and you can remember, like you said, back in the day and show old pictures. But also there's always new additions, so nieces, nephews, and so on. So for me, if I get back once every 4 months, it's changed a lot. Somebody's changed, so it's good to catch up, even when you talk on the phone. But it's never the same when you can sit down on the sofa and have a chat with your brothers and sisters and so on.
Talking about your brothers and sisters, last spring must have been a very special time in the Moore family when your brother Darren was manager of the West Bromwich Albion and he won the manager of the month in Premier League.
Yeah. Listen, of course we are incredibly proud of him, and of course when when he was announced as the coach at the time for the remainder of the Premier League season, we never had the words to describe how proud we was of the moment, because we know, listen, his playing career has been, really, anybody looking at his playing career, and again, anybody talking about, my brother, the man, as he is, everybody knows who he is and what he's about. So then to be given a role in a club and be given that responsibility, 6 games we know, but then what went on from there, it's I think the family, the whole of the Albion support and beyond, was incredibly pleased for him, and we still are. Listen, it's like is it a fantasy? Yes, it is, but still, it's a good fantasy and a good thing to be living with. Really good, and the story continues, as you know. Still there now, as we sit down and speak, third in the table, and trying to get the club back to where it should be.
As a manager in Premier League with that background, you came from Jamaica, you're a black guy from Birmingham. Do you think the atmosphere has changed since you left England to nowadays?
I think, listen, whenever I've gone back, I've never really, you hear a story, but I've never really experienced personally that kind of negative atmosphere. I can't say, of course, my brother has his own experiences, of course, but I think there's been a big push now, particularly in these last years, for a realization that You know, as black athletes, we have been great sportsmen. You know, one of the best always, or some of the most important players in clubs up and down the country. And the question has always been asked, then why hasn't that now progressed into management? Is it that we have lack of coaches, lack of experiences, lack of qualifications? Well, that's proven that no. It's proven that maybe the lack of opportunities hasn't quite been given in the same way that it should be. And I think there's been now a huge now realization that in the sports of football, if you just take that yes, we do have the managers, we do have the qualifications, we do have the experiences. Now, if given a chance, can we now do the same things? And I think if you look at those managers that have been from a black ethnic minority background, for example, whenever they have gone into the Premier League, they have done well. You know, Chris Hughton being one, my brother being the other one. It's like I said, it's not so much that we lack all the skills. I think more and more, once given the opportunity, I think then there'll be a realization that yes, black managers can be successful. I think on the terraces there's been a big change. If you think from the 80s, I think it's well documented the problems English football had through the 80s and 90s. But I think now, if you travel the world, you probably won't get a better, more safer environment than if you go to a Premier League or Championship or League 1, 2, grounds. I think there, a lot of work has been done with the fan base, with families, with the design of the stadiums, of course. So I think there the attitude has changed a lot, and I think it still has a long way to go. Don't get me wrong, but I think slowly we're getting on the right path to having more of a representation in the coaching staffs and managers in football in the UK.
When you arrived to Finland, how surprising was this thing that the English football was so big thing in Finland, and it has been even bigger, and it's growing and growing and growing. The Premier League is almost like the #1 league for some people here in Finland.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, I remember arriving in Myllykoski, like I said, the summer of '96, and going to have something to eat it was just a local pub bar, where that served food. And I remember sitting down there, and I looked up on Yle, was the English game. And at the time, you couldn't watch live football in England on a Saturday. And here I was sat in a pub eating lunch in Finland on a Saturday, watching at the old first division football at the time, and thinking, huh? So then I quickly realized, and talking to more and more people, that how popular actually the English game was. And yes, of course, you had the big club, but also you had a lot of fans of Leeds, Leicester City. A lot of these small Stoke. Some guys say, "Oh, I supported Stoke all my life." I'm like, really? Yeah, since, So then it really made me realize that, in Finland, English football is a big deal. And like you said, you got it screened live on Yle, regularly. So I think there then the Finnish fan could watch their favorite teams on the BBC as it was shown back then. So yeah, now of course it doesn't surprise me that it's still held as a very big league that Finnish supporters watch. But then it was a surprise, considering that I had a little trouble finding it on the map. So.
Your first team in Finland, as you said, it was Mypa in Myllykoski. They had a big downfall here a few years back, and now they are back in the first division. It's the second highest league in Finland. Which kind of feelings does that make in you?
Listen, I was devastated, when I heard the club had almost not existed at one point anymore. It fell down the leagues for unfortunate reasons because, as I said, arriving in Finland back then, I couldn't have gone to a better family, if you think, because that's what it was. It was a family when you went into the Myllykoski, dressing or the Mypä dressing room at the time. I mean, I had fond memories of playing at the Savaniemi Stadium, Liverpool of all teams, back then in their heyday, as you could call it. So yeah, mixed feelings when they went down, but then of course bit by bit, as good clubs always do, they slowly start to build back, and now for them to be back, one step from where they were a few seasons ago, I think it tells a lot about the people that work there, the town, and the hard work, that in seeing that they never wanted such a heartbeat of the community to disappear. So for me, it's I will always look out for Mypä results always, and I hope, touch wood, that one day, if I'm still around, that we can still see them back in the Veikkaus League again.
And then when we watch this list about teams who have played in, also TPV got now back to the first division.
Yeah, again, it's another club with good traditions in the Tampere area, of course, of Finland. I think the time when I arrived there, they were going through a process, and the owner at the time was quite an how do I say, eccentric kind of a guy. So I remember arriving there as well, with they had clear goals on what they wanted to achieve, and the goal was to get promoted back again to the I don't know, it wasn't the Veikkaus League then. I can't remember Ykkönen. No, I can't remember what the league was called then. So yeah, going in again, assembling a mixed team of good Finnish players, good foreign players, and we were very successful. We ended up beating Finpa over 2 legs in the playoffs on that time, and managed to go up. So again, it's a club that good memories, for of course different reasons than Mypä, but good memories of the times, the games we played, particularly against Ilves at the time, and yeah, all that went on that season and the next season. So, but again, fun memories of TPV and all the teams actually that I played with throughout my time here.
After you had started your playing career, you were as a manager in SCR, Salpa, Inter Youths,
Yes.
Ovu IFK, PIF, and you have been in many places.
Yeah.
Was this some kind of dream when you played football and you had a dream that after my career I will be a manager of some club?
No, actually, funnily enough, before I even joined Aston Villa on what was then YTS, it was called then, I wanted to be a teacher. A geography teacher was what I was going to be. And I applied for the schools, applied for the colleges, and then, like I said, I was given a choice of, at that time, to continue on that path of teaching, or then join at the age of 16 this youth program of Aston Villa. So I, of course, at the time thought, okay, I can always come back to this, and I went on the path of football. So even at the time when I sort of was coming to the end of playing, I always thought that, yeah, I still wanted to be a teacher. you know, because you know it was. I always felt that it was the right place for me to be. But then when I arrived in Turku, I think 2005-6, if I remember correctly, I was approached to play for this SCR. I thought, well, why not? Again, like I said, something different. And then I was asked to be player manager at the time, and it went really well, better than I could expect it, you know. And I always remember not so much the games, but the response I got from the players. You know, quite a young team at the time, age of 20, mid 20s. So I just remembered the you know the look, and one or two of the guys that played for me at the time telling me that, you know, oh Dave, this is the best we've felt, the best results the club has had, the highest finish, and all these things. And you know, I really went after that season. I really thought to myself that this is an area that I'm quite interested in. So, and then it continued from there. Like I said, from SCR, I went into to a very good group of players in TEPS. A lot of those guys still play today, important parts in their team. And then, yeah, progress from there to, like I said, Parainen, Parainen to Lahti in different roles in Lahti, back again to Salpa, and now continuing here at FC Inter. So, but again, picked up a lot along the way, working with a lot of different groups. So I have a good overall impression of the Finnish youth or Finnish football from playing now as I'm working as a coach. Yeah.
How did you end up as a kit manager?
Yeah. Again, at home, I went home after the end of the season in Salo, and at that time, again, Salpa decided that they wanted to go in a different direction. So I just remember going home at the time, spending time with the family, and I had a phone call from a good friend, John Allen, actually. And he just said that, Dave, don't say anything now, think about it. And I went, oh, here we go again. I said, how can I think about something I don't know? He said, just think about it. Just don't give me an answer now. Think about it. I said, okay, what is it? And he goes into the story. Look, there's been a change of management at Inter, and they need an answer quickly because they also are missing one guy there, this kit man. I said, yeah, okay, right. No, he said, don't say anything now. Think about it. So I remember putting the phone down. I didn't think about it, I'll be honest with you. I went downstairs and talked some other things. And then he called me back later and he said, have you thought about it? And I said, thought about what? He said, Kitman. I said, Sean, are you serious? Yeah, he said. I said, okay, give me more background into it. And of course, he explained that the new coach coming in would like a more English style way of working, and in the same way that the English kitmen used to do the job. So he said, okay, come back and then we can discuss it more. So then I came back. I think I spoke with the technical director at the time about what the job would involve. Spoke with the head coach at the time, and then I got from that I got quite a good feeling to think that, okay, the team environment, you know, which is what football is all about, the team environment. It was something that I missed. I remember back in the day when I came up, you know, you had always these good stories to tell and everything. And then also the way of the new coach wanting the kitman to work, I thought, yeah, it would be quite interested. You know, travel with the team, get to know, be part of what is a new project. So the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I thought, okay, it's a different route, another step to seeing football from a different angle, if you like. So you're not involved anymore, you're on the side, but you're still part of this new project. And then I said yes. I walked into the changing room and I got a good feeling. A good feeling about my role, about the team, about the people I was working with. And I think after that, I think, yeah, it was something that I quite enjoy, funnily enough. Like I said, it's you're privileged to be again part of football, and this has always been an important role, particularly in the UK. You can talk to the old Liverpool kitman, the Arsenal kit. You know, you can go to any club in England, and the guy's been there for 30 years, and he's the heart and soul of the club. You know, he breathes everything. He does everything for the club. So, and I'm sure if you talk to, you know, a lot of players about their kitman back in the day, they can have a lot of funny stories there. But it's an important role, of course, within the team in a different way. So it's something that I do in the same way I do everything else, with a smile on the face.
And this is the way to feel the emptiness about the locker room talk.
I think, listen, anybody who hasn't been in that, it's quite difficult. But it's something that, you know, you talk to every English player or English player that has stopped playing the game, they miss the banter in the changing room, and there's nothing like it. You know, the boys have been out on a Saturday night after a good win in a game. Monday morning you hear all the fun stories, you know, how it went, you know, all the little things around it. So I know it's a lads or boys environment, but it's stuff that really can bond a good team, and you know you can go a long way. So, for example, my time if you think at Villa Park, I was sat around the dinner table or the canteen. You know, Dean Saunders, Andy Townsend, Dwight Chirok, Kevin Richardson, Daly and Naki. You know, you had these guys, and they would sit and they would tell the stories. Paul McGrath telling about their time with Jack Charlton in the Irish team. You know, so like I said, it's if you haven't been there, it's difficult to say, but every footballer misses, I think, that kind of environment when they leave. So coming back now into this room, you have your laugh and your jokes. You hear the funny stuff. The boys have got on holiday, come back. You see the pictures. It's really I think it's one of the most important parts in a team, the dressing room, and the atmosphere that creates.
When we look up to the future, have you some kind of plans that how long you're gonna stay in Finland, or is this from now on type of contract?
Every year has been my last year in Finland. Ever since I arrived, every year was my last year, and I think it'll continue like that until I don't know when. I think my family, or the family back in the UK, has sort of realized that, you know, I've spent here half my life, if you think in that way. So I think they're quite resigned to that I might never go home in that way. But at the same time, I always think that myself that, would I ever go? Of course, you know, it's where I grew up and was born. But I've never made that decision, whether it's been here or there. I've always tried to live both, in the UK and here. So I think that question will never leave. That every year, every December, it's my last year. So we'll leave it like that.
Are you gonna be here next year?
My contract says yes. So, yeah, again, another change, another different adventure coming up now as of January with Inter. So, looking forward to that actually. I think it'll be a continuation of those things that the club achieved last season, and building on that for the new season. So, currently now we are Finnish Cup champions, so we still have that to go and defend next season. Looking forward now to from that now being in Europe, which is again, I think everybody at the club is quite pleased that a club like Inter has got back into Europe. And then now, like I said, progressing now up the league, and then challenging, of course, for the title. So I think, more exciting times to come. And like I said, happy to be part of it.
And about next year's Europe Games, so would you like to play against the Walesian team?
Yeah, because they're always easy teams to beat.
Hey, thank you, Dave, really much about this. I really appreciate it, and good luck with Inter.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ja näin. Ensimmäinen osa on purkissa. Jatketaan tästä.